Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I'm in New York City and I'm going to be doing a great video with Cheryl, and I'll explain it here in a minute. Before I get started, please check us out on YouTube member programs, Patreon, Discord, my book, cigars, everything we're doing, merch. We're really coming out with some new shirts. We'll even talk to Cheryl about that one because it's a great saying. And as you know, I want to thank everybody for all the comments about the weight I lost. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't be in New York City if I didn't do that because I did a lot of walking. All right, this video is going to be about sensory overload. I talk about sensory overload because of the situation I was in when I got out of prison. I'm going to give the brief story. Cheryl was the one who saved my life. I often talk about that on the podcast. I'm going to do this video because this might help somebody else, and that is what I really want. First of all, when I got out of prison, Cheryl, I want to say thank you for coming again.
Yeah.
Cheryl is a life coach and one of the most worldly people I've known. In fact, when we did the podcast the other day, we got some replies from people who were helped by what Cheryl had to say. We're going to do a little bit more in depth with this one because this is just going to be about sensory overload. And I'm going to go into it really quick and you can stop me and start me. That's what we're doing. Sensory overload happened to me when I got out of prison. Anybody who thinks they go to prison and they come out normal is not. You are going to be institutionalized. I don't care what you do. I read the newspaper. In fact, Cheryl used to send me books and encyclopedias and law books and everything else. And I read them, so I was very well versed in what's going on, as you remember.
Yes.
But when I got out of prison, what happened to me was, and I'm going to go over the story and stop me if you have to. I got out of prison. The prison gives me, I have money. I had $200 and something in my account. They give you $25 gate money, they call it. So I had approximately $275, something like that. So I had cash on me. I wanted to take the bus because I was on an airplane with the shackles, and I was on buses with the shackles and everything else. So I wanted to take a bus and see the world. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was they gave me the money. The first thing people don't know is I went away in 1996. I got out in 2007. So it's 11 years, a little over 11 years. First of all, they gave me my money, and I said to them, give me the real money. And a guy looked at me, he goes, what do you mean? I says, I want my money. It looked like Monopoly money. Money changed 3 times. There was color in it. It was different pictures, and it really looked like not what I was used to, any money. I didn't see money in 11 years. And I really said to her, I said, no, don't fuck with me. Give me my money. Or where do I go? Do I go to the bank? Do I go to another person? Do I cash it in? I thought it was like a voucher. He goes, no, that's money. And I don't trust them already.
Right.
You know, the prison system, you know what happened to me. I end up getting the money. They convinced me it's the money. And it really, that was the first thing that really kind of like hit me. Things are different. But I felt good. I'm out. I'm free. I'm not in cuffs and shackles. In fact, I didn't even have clothes for it because they give you clothes. They gave you jeans and a white polo shirt. And I still had the Bobo shoes on, the stuff. They drop you right off at the bus station. No playing around. They drop you off right when the bus comes. It was 8 o'clock. I'll never forget that. And I get on the bus and I sit down and I sit next to a young lady. Obviously, it's this good-looking young lady. I haven't seen ladies in a long time, and like, holy shit. And I'm doing this at first. I'm like, I was like, I'm used to this.
Yeah. Being free. You're
and
being free.
I'm literally free. So then the girl had a Razor flip phone. I'll never forget that either.
Yeah.
They didn't have the iPhone.
That's
this is 2007.
No.
And I look at it and I said, now when I went to prison, they had the brick phone.
Yeah.
You remember I should have did a commercial for that.
It was this big. Those were those huge phones.
Gray phones.
Like carrying around,
Yeah, first one I had was the one with a walkie-talkie. I looked like I was in G.I. Joe. So anyway, I get up there and the girl has the phone and I say to her, can I see that? Now, I think about that today, how that even sounds. If you say to somebody, can I see that? They're going to look at
your phone. No.
Not even that, but she probably sort of intimidating looking guy. And I ended up, she gave me the phone. I looked at it. I'm thinking how these fat fingers could touch these little buttons. And I closed the phone. I gave it back. All I do know is the next stop, she got up and I had my own seat for the whole ride.
Yeah.
But what happened was, the first thing that happened, and I want you to get into it because you're going to remember it too very well. I got off the bus, I had money in my pocket, and what people don't understand in prison, when you go to prison, everybody thinks the most thing you're going to miss is sex. It's not. It's food.
Yeah.
It's food, real food. So I have money, and they say, the bus driver comes over to PA and says, we're going to be pulling in to get some food. You got 40 minutes, he told us. And I'm thinking, food, getting gas. I'm thinking a gas station, cigarettes, candy bar, 6-pack of beer, paper. What the fuck is going to be in it? No. We pull up, and there's a Subway. There was a Food Mart or something, and like whatever the gas station was. And I go, fuck, Subway. And I went up there, and I have money in my pocket. And I go up to line, and I looked up, and I froze. And you remember this, because I froze, and I felt people looking at me, and I just couldn't pull the trigger on saying whatever. I ended up getting off the line because I felt so out of it. People looking, I went on a bus, I cried. I remember that.
Well, let's catch people up a minute for this because you have to think about the fact that Larry had been in prison for almost 12 years and had not made any food choices, right? There was never a time where you are at a menu and you get to choose what you want to eat.
No, you had your loco, which was ramen noodle soups or whatever
Yeah.
I'd make, obviously. But no, you're right, there was no menu.
Right.
Never.
So standing there with people in front of him, waiting for him expectantly, people behind him in a hurry to be able to catch their bus and get back on the road, and this pressure to be able to actually make a decision that is too many choices. Like there was choice overload going on, completely looking up. So that in that moment, that choice overload that was happening, there's other things that were going on with all of this, which he was talking about, with all this sensory overload as well. What happens is people go into a stress response, and that ends up being fight, flight, or freeze, right? So he's in the line, freezes, can't make a decision, there's pressure behind him. So I'll give it back to you.
You picked it up great. I ran to the bus, and I literally was crying. I got to the next stop is when I called you.
Yeah.
And Cheryl, when I say Saved My Life, I was ready to go back to prison. I didn't give a fuck. I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know this world. And I'm thinking, am I stupid? I can't do things. What's wrong with me? I survived the real bad prisons. So that was the easy part, I guess. It's not easy, but you said to me, I remember I called you. You were home. It was collect.
Yeah, this is also something that was, by grace that this happened, that he actually got off the bus again, and I guess found a payphone.
A payphone. There was right.
Payphones still existed.
No, there were payphones, absolutely.
Right, so
right at the bus station.
The other thing is I had a landline, a hardwired phone, and he called collect. Now, the chances of me actually being home in that moment to receive the call is what I would consider grace, because thank goodness, but I was there and did accept every time anytime Larry called me from prison, it was always a collect call. So I was very used to knowing it would be him.
You just have to hit 5 to accept the call.
That's right. This one was just straight collect from a payphone. So. And
I called you, and obviously you knew I was fucked up.
Yeah.
And you calmed me down, and you told me, what little bit was going on, but go on the bus. Don't confront people. Don't do anything. You'll feel better when you get back into the halfway house. I was going to Tampa for the halfway house. And that had to be in Alabama, so I still had another 7 hours, 6 hours. I don't know what it was. And I got in the halfway house, and I felt better.
Yeah.
I literally felt better. Now, I understand it now, but maybe you could explain why I had such a, and I consider myself pretty intelligent. I read a lot. I read the paper. I didn't think this would hit me. Why is that?
So obviously, Larry was in a full immersion experience being in prison in a incredibly limited, small world, right? There were very few choices. There was structure, there was routine, there was always, you're being told where to go, what to do, what the time is, what to eat when you're doing it, everything else, right? Now all of a sudden,
clothes, everything.
Everything, right? Now he walks out into the world in freedom, right? But freedom actually involves a tens of thousands of choices every day, right? Looking through it as you're navigating through life. So in this moment when he froze around the food, and everything triggered in him as danger, right? This was when there's sensory overload and you go into overwhelm drives no decision. So that happens no matter what. That's how the brain works. If you were in overwhelm, it drives no decision. And then no decision drove him to freeze, but then his trigger when he doesn't feel safe is to fight, right? Is to get angry. Instead of feeling scared, right? There was that moment, the tears, the crying. That's emotional release. That's an energetic release. But then anger happens because of all the second guessing you're doing of why you're not navigating things and that. So he was in a full-blown stress response is basically what that was. When he called me, I was absolutely able to actually calm him down, right? To be able to bust that stress response in the moment, walk him through step by step what was happening, that there wasn't anything broken or wrong with him, that this is a natural stress response, and then to, obviously calm him down, slow his breathing down so we can work with a little bit with how to bust a stress response in the moment. But you have to slow your breathing down, drop your energy, right, out of your head, out of the panic. And then I just talked him through getting back on the bus, sitting in the back where he felt protected.
I did. I moved my seat
all the way to the back where he felt protected. He doesn't like things coming up behind him. Still don't. Get into the back of the bus, get your own seat, sit there and breathe. You can make it the next 8 hours without food and water if you have to. That's not going to kill you, right? Don't interact with people. You're going to be there soon enough. And then the halfway house is a protected environment again. It has more freedom, but obviously not as much as that moment in there. So.
Oh, they actually, they search you. They do everything. They take you in the back. They strip search you. You got to go through their bags. You do. So I was okay with that. I mean, again, I tell people I've been strip searched so much I can stand up, lift my nuts, bend over, and I don't even feel what I call it. I don't even feel like embarrassed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's sad, but that's something I think what a lot of people do go to prison.
No shame around it.
You're right. And now when we get to the halfway house, they give you 4 hours to go get hygiene items. Right. So I go to get hygiene items, and again, I'll never forget.
And that's at a store. He gets to go to a store to go buy his own hygiene items.
There was Walgreens, and I remember going in there, and I had to get toothbrush, toothpaste, and floss or something. It was $4.20-something. But when you went to the aisle with the toothpaste, there's 30 types of toothpaste. Now you're thinking how much money you got. Now also, in prison, you fill out a commissary list, and you fill that out on a Monday. And you put it in on a Wednesday. So you got 2 days to figure your money. Did it come in? Look in your account, what somebody owes you, this. And you can erase it and do it. And so you take that commissary list, you got 2 days to fill it out, and you put it in there, and then you go up and get your commissary items. In this place, I'm at this place, and I see all of these toothpastes, and I'm like, how much money do I have? What is it worth? Then you're looking at the box, you're reading it, and I'm like, do I really now, today, if you gave me 4 hours to go get hygiene items, I told you, I'd get laid, I'd fucking go play 2 holes of golf, I'd go have a beer. I mean, it would be unbelievable what I'd do today in 4 hours. It literally, other guys at the halfway house, because I actually went to the counter and I gave the lady a $5 bill, and she gives me my receipt and the bag and says, thank you. It doesn't give me my money.
Change.
And my change. And mine was, where's my fucking money? I got very adamant. Because you don't get beat in prison. That's it's not about the money. It's about getting beat.
Right.
And I felt that way. And a guy touched me, and I almost fucking hit him. And everybody backed up. They saw, and the guy goes, it's in there. And it came down that, the money thing. Now I know, but you don't realize. I'll give you one more. And you got to understand that Paulie, my friend, got out of prison. And I went and got him. Because everybody who gets out of prison who I know now, I go get them.
Yes.
I go get them. I would never suggest anybody being let out of prison, because they don't do anything. We're going to talk about that in a minute. What happened was Paulie went in the bathroom, didn't know how to turn on the water. Because the water,
of course.
And this is
it was automatic.
Yeah, like 2015, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And the guy's looking, he's looking, a guy looked at him and he's like, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He's trying to wash his hands. And the guy goes, you have a problem? He goes, yeah, there's no faucet handle. The guy goes, put your hands underneath. And it freaked him out, because the first thing he did when he came out of the bathroom, when I picked him up, and I brought him a cigar, of course.
Yeah.
He came, he goes, fucking Larry, the fuck is going on? I couldn't wash my hands. And he told me the whole story. I think he told it on one of my shows. What is wrong with our system? And you know, everybody in this show knows I am very adamant about fixing the prison system. Why? These seem basic.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they were. Sensory overload, or whatever you call it.
Overwhelmed stress response.
Overwhelmed stress response. I mean, things that I understand now. Why don't they do it? Is it they don't want to do it, or they don't give a shit, or try to give me a help. Give all of us. Because there's people out there right now watching who have a loved one in prison. And if they're going to get out, and I often tell them, listen, when they get out, and they've been in for a while, when they get home, do not take the remote control from them and just say, let me show you this.
Right.
Because whether he says it or not, he's bringing, I was just controlled for 12 years. Now this person thinks I'm too stupid to run a clicker. And, even though he's your loved one, what the fuck? You don't think I can run in his own self, instead of letting him learn to do it, himself. That I try to tell people that, because they don't teach you any of that. You know what they teach in pre-release class? Go get an ID card. That's fucking stupid. But what do we do?
I mean, in my opinion, in prison reform, reentry is probably one of the hardest things. And there's very good statistics about how soon after
recidivism.
Recidivism. Right. So there's
we have the worst recidivism rate out of any country, like Norway, Sweden, Germany, France, Italy. All of them, they have a better recidivism rate. We have a very high recidivism rate. If you leave from the hole in prison, you have a 75% chance of going back.
Oh, jeez.
If you leave from regular prison, it's about 50%. Within 3 years.
So just some emotional and psychological training before somebody has to re-enter into the big world, right? Coming out. So that's for me, telling you need to get your ID card and register here, or whatever it is, that you're going to have a bus ticket, all well and good, right? But to not do any emotional or psychological support for people to understand what they are going to be reactive to, and then how to actually calm that reaction so that it doesn't end up blowing up in their face, right?
Okay, on a better note, can you give some people out there advice who have a family member or a brother, sister, or a loved one, husband, or wife, anybody getting out of prison? And I do know this, it takes 3 weeks to make a habit and 6 months to break a habit. I know people who go to prison for a year and they come out institutionalized. I mean, some way, you're so programmed.
Right.
If a person does a lot of time, like me, over a decade, they are so fucked up. I don't care what they say. How would you tell somebody out there to help their loved one?
Ask them. I think that's going to be one of the most important things. Like you were saying, don't just jump in and try to do too much for them, or look like you're trying to control them and helping them. I think if somebody, right, they don't want to be controlled, so you're going to want to be aware and help them become aware of what a stress response feels like, right? So they can emotionally regulate. So that's going to be an important thing. The emotions are going to be all over the place for everyone, for you as well as your loved one coming out, right? There's a lot of stress in that whole reentry process. Also being gentle, moving slower, right? Not like asking if somebody needs something, how can I love and support you right now? May I help you? May I walk you through this, how to use the computer, the phone, like, right?
So would you suggest, like, to a family, they have a meeting before the person gets out?
Absolutely.
And try to explain to, the loved ones, the kids or whoever, or also before they get out. I mean, like, I had the problem on my way. I was that close to snapping.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for you. Yeah. Did they go for a visit with them? Did they talk to them on the phone? Did they send them some kind of a book to read, or can they do something for a person? Because you are excited. When you're getting out, it's fucking exciting. Right. It's funny, I'll tell you, Cheryl, because every person who got out of prison, and I've helped a lot now, I tell them, get out, leave everything there. I don't give a shit if you come out in your underwear, I got you. I'll get your clothes, I'll get you. Inevitable. One of my cellies goes out and he wins an appeal. He was in for 5 years.
Okay.
And he's my cellmate. I was in Atlanta. He comes in, he goes, I'll pay you. I go, what the fuck you talking? He owed me $100.
Oh yeah.
I says, what are you talking about? He goes, I won. I go, you won what? He goes, yeah, I won the appeal. They said to report to, he's not, he goes, they said to report to R&D, which is receiving a discharge, and, pack up. So I said, get the fuck out of here. Get your legal work and go. Are you kidding me? You want? He packs his laundry detergent, says, maybe my mom doesn't have laundry detergent. My own brother, and you all know him, David, I tell him, David, I'm picking you up. And I drove all the way from Florida to Pennsylvania to get him. Don't bring anything. He brings his cup. Because it's like
it's the thing he had. It's the only thing
he thinks he's going to go to he's going to go to the head. He needs it. Like, I'm not going to get him a fucking cup or whatever he needs.
Right.
The brain is so fucked up. And I'm talking about intelligent people now. I'm not talking about stupid people. How do you, before they do a thing like I was that close to doing, do you go visit and do you talk to them on the phone? Because I love what you said when they get home.
Yeah.
Everybody gets together. You have a plan for that person.
Yeah.
I'm actually coming up with something for states and governments. But where beforehand, because I'm worried about that too.
Yeah. I think you have to prepare them, and because most people don't.
The prison don't.
And the thing about it is, and I don't think that most people who are in prison think that it will be hard to get out, because they think it's hard to be in.
I did think, your institution, get the fuck out of here. I read the paper every day. I watch some TV. I was fucked up.
Yeah.
And I realize it now more than I ever realized it, and everybody I helped get out.
Yeah.
From Paulie to my brother or another person, they say the same thing. I didn't know it was going to be like that.
That's right.
So we need...
So prepare ahead of time. I think you need to prepare ahead of time. Have someone, and this is based on actually, experience from people, many people who have gotten out ahead of them. Reentry is hard, and it's stressful. It's emotional. There's going to be a cascade of emotions and effects that are happening that will be completely unexpected. Things that haven't happened maybe for years, because you end up becoming very stoic while you're in prison, right? And very tough and having to do all of that. So prepare ahead of time, and then work with people to be able to understand not only is reentry hard, but they do have a way of being able to manage their own stress response. Right? And so
the person
themselves. Help teach them some stress release processes, right? There is an organization called HeartMath, HeartMath, HeartMath. They've done lots of science about how to bust a stress response in the moment. It's called the quick coherence technique. It can be done and effective right in the middle, which is what I walked you through, about slowing your breathing, dropping your energy and your attention around the area of your heart. Slowly breathe in through your heart, out through your heart for a count of 5, even breaths. When you're in a stress response, breaths become erratic. Your heart rate variability becomes erratic. And so you actually can manage that. Every one of you, in any stress response, in traffic, in anything, but you can help teach your loved ones how to do that as well. And it's as simple as, you can look this up, but it's heart focus. The heart responds when you put your attention to it. Scientifically proven. So you drop your thought, your energy, your attention to the area around your heart. Breathe in through your heart, count of 5, or whatever's comfortable. Out through the heart, count of 5. Even breaths. And then what you want to do is then drop your attention into thinking about something that you appreciate or feel grateful for. They find that that's the most coherent emotion you can bring.
Tough for some people in prison, because at that point, you're just getting out. What do you appreciate getting out?
Well, but it can actually even be as simple as thinking about a moment in your life at any time you felt peaceful. Maybe it was hugging a puppy, or when you first held your baby, or it could be anything that simple. It doesn't have to be. It can just be a simple idea of think of a moment that you felt peace. So, simple. Heart focus, heart breathing, heart feeling.
And talk to people.
But stop your breathing first, drop that down, and then share.
That's getting
and
out.
then share,
Right.
And then talk to people.
You need to, obviously, thank you, Cheryl. I want to add one thing at the end of that. And if your loved one is getting out, and I'm sure they're going to know this, some prisons, they don't tell people because some people can get jealous if you have a lot of people with life sentences and you don't want to be, hey, I'm getting out, and all this, and all of a sudden someone stabs you. And I've seen it happen. So you kind of got to like control your own emotions to begin with.
Yes.
So maybe that will help in that stress. Check that out, because she does these little things that do that. And thank you, Cheryl. I really want to thank, and I'm sure that you're going to help somebody out there with that. Check it out, everybody. Check out what she's saying about calm, because I've become a lot calmer man myself because of stuff like this. And, and I'm going to work in progress, and we all are. So if you do get upset, don't worry about it. Just go back at it. Hit it hard.
It's about recovery and resilience.
It is. Thank you again, Cheryl. Everybody, please stay safe. You have loved ones, tell them life starts when they get out, no matter what age. I got out at 46, and life's not over. Help them out as much as you can, but help them, don't control them. And have a great day. Stay safe. Make good choices so you don't go to prison. Have a great day, everybody.
Peace, everyone.